excited to show you guys the latest version of hh2 field reports. To give you an outline for this demonstration today, what I'll be doing is going through, taking some time in the new field reports system on the website so that you guys can see the new web interface. Some of you that are on our older version of field reports will be able to move to the new field reports. And then I will also show you some of the new features within it, and then I'll try and get into the iPad app so that you can see field reports on the iPad. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this. I know that we're missing a few people that are planning on attending the session. If you're joining late, we will be providing the recording and putting it out on our site so that you can review this later on when you get some time. So for those of you that have the field reports module activated, on the left-hand side of this new skin, we can access field reports just by clicking on FR. You can see that there's a new look and feel to the field report system. All right. One of the biggest changes that we've made is the log calendar. And I really like this calendar a lot because it gives field report administrators the ability at a glance to see the number of reports that are out there and who's actually filling them out. When we click on the field reports menu, this is the log that I'm talking about, the calendar log. So when I click on this, there's two types of views. We have a weekly view, which I have set up as a default on our demo site right now, or I have a monthly view. So I can switch that right here, and I can go to the monthly view. At a glance, I can see now who's been filling out their reports. This dashboard is handy because I have my log types up at the top, and then I've got all of my different reports in here, which shows me if they're finalized or unfinalized. All of the F reports are finalized. All of the U reports are unfinalized. I've got different colors based on the log types that I've set up, which I'll get into. That's a new feature, creating your own log types. And I can see based on the job and hovering over my reports who is creating them. Okay. I can also filter up at the top by finalized or unfinalized. So this is a very handy dashboard to have for any field reports administrator to be able to come in and just look at this and see if your guys are actually doing their daily logs. A couple other changes just on this screen is I can come over here, I can create a new log from here. I can hit the plus button and create a new log that way. Okay. If I go back to the calendar view, I can also switch up some settings. So these are user-specific settings that we've placed in here so that when you log in as a field reports user, you can come in and you can switch whether you want the calendar to be on a weekly or monthly view, whether you want the default layout to be small, thumbnail like I have, or larger. We can also, with all the field report icons now, we can order them in the way that we want to see them. So for some of your field guys out there or technicians that are using the daily logs, they may want to be able to create notes first. So the journal entry, I could place this in any order that I want in my data sets, and it makes it very handy to get to the things that I need to fill out first rather than advancing through them on the report. So some minor tweaks and changes here. We've also conveniently placed the export logs to PDF or Excel up at the top. I'm just going to briefly go into some of the changes in the field reports within a report. Here I'm just going to go in and create a new log for today. And when I do that, I've got all of my data sets up at the top. Anything that you guys see with asterisks next to the fields, these are fields that need to be filled out before you can advance on to the next tab. So I'm just going to leave this as my job. I'm going to leave the current date. Journal types or log types and journal types are two areas that we can specify now. So I know a lot of you guys have made requests about being able to change these different options up when you're creating a new log or field report. I'll show you where you can do that in your settings now. I'm going to leave this as general, and I'm just going to create a new log. So some new things in the system. One happens to be on the weather tab, so I'm going to go to that one first. On the weather tab now, as long as you guys have your zip codes added on your job record in Timberline, you can come over here, and you've had this in the old system, but it's in a new position or new place here in the new field reports. You can click on the cloud icon with the arrow pointing down. That's going to automatically attempt to pull down data based on weather.com's weather report for the zip code that you have on that job record. If you do not have a zip code, we'll attempt to do the geolocation based on where you're at with your from your web browser settings, and we can pull that down. You can always manually override anything that this is automatically pulling. A lot of times bordering zip codes or towns where you're at the base, base elevation is different. Like we're here in Utah, our ski resorts, it may be a blizzard up on the mountain, but down below it's clear. So when you need to go in and change those things very quickly, you can still download them and then just click right on the actual weather entry and change this up manually. So you still have full control. But I did want to point out that there is a new button on the field report. It's this one here, and you can manually add your weather items using the plus button here on the side. Okay, new icons for all of our weather entries or options. Have just about every kind of weather condition out there. As you create weather conditions, they'll continue to stack up in the logs down below, similar to the older version. Another option is that for our remote payroll clients, we do have this payroll tab that can be turned on, and what this will do is it will pull over anything that you've got entered into remote payroll on that job for that day. In a live feed, it will automatically pull it over in here. I've actually selected a job where on our demo site where we don't have any payroll data, but there's nothing that you have to do here. It just automatically pulls over and updates this so that it's in your report, so that you don't have to print out two reports. So that is an option that you can turn on. Some other things that are new in the system, if we scroll over here, the one item that I wanted to show was the meetings tab. This is something that we're still developing a little bit further. For those of you that are using the iPad app, you'll see that the meetings tab can be turned on. Meetings tab is really cool because you can come in and you can select different attendees that are a part of a meeting out on the job site. If you guys are doing toolbox talks, or your people out in the field are gathering up each morning before they go out on the job and just having small discussions, you can capture that in the meeting area here. Right now, we only have 2 meeting types available, or 3 right here. We can manually put some of these in for you guys until we have this drop-down configured where you can create your own meeting types. By default, when we turn this on, you'll see 2. You'll see training and safety. So just, select one or the other, and then in the names right here, you can put in a name description of the meeting. Meeting topics is something that we're developing too, so you'll be seeing an update for that, where you guys will be able to, put in custom meeting topics or choose from meeting topics that you wanted to discuss in some of these meetings out on the job site, and I can just describe the meeting here, toolbox talk. Okay. Now, I have to create the meeting or put in some notes. I have to specify a time and put in some notes. We'll just put in held meeting on job, And down below, once I create the meeting, you'll see some other options pop up. So we have an attendees list. We also have an attachments menu item, so that after the meeting gets created, you can come in and specify your attendees. There's a couple of different ways that you can show that people attended a meeting out on the job site. You can pull from your employee list, and you can select people that way. All right. So I can pull from contacts in Timberline. So if I wanted to pull contacts that way, I can select them that way. Or if you have people that are out on the job site that are not a part of your data folder or are not in Timberline, then I can manually add their names. I can come in here and specify certain vendors or companies or people that attended the meeting, and I can add the attendees that way. Everybody that we're adding on the meeting has this new little John Hancock box where we can, if you're using an iPad out in the field within the app, it's very easy to hand an iPad to someone and have them just sign off that they were on the meeting. Here, because we're using the web version, I would actually have to come in, click on this, and then sign the name with a mouse. You can see it's not very good doing it that way, but you're still able to capture that. So if they're in a job trailer or something, they want someone to, sign off, you can just capture some signatures, but the easiest way to capture these is on an iPad. The delete trash can is here to delete any of these off. And the great thing about, like I said, about meetings is now you have a record of everybody signing off that they attended a special training or meeting within your company, and that is a good thing when things get brought up in litigation later on, or if there's an incident that takes place. Having the meeting notes and having someone signed off that they attended a certain training is either going to hurt you or break you later on. So that is the new meetings area. We've done some things with the attachments tab. We just made it easier to pull up different attachments and to arrange those attachments in a number of different ways. So the interface is a little bit more user-friendly now. You can come in, you can select any type of attachment that you want. Mainly on the iPads, you're probably going to be pulling photos. So if we come in here, I can pull from my pictures folder or, really anything in here. So once I've got this attached, let's actually pull one up. I'll come in here. We'll select an attachment. I can specify a title, and I can also come in and I can specify the layout. If I want a small thumbnail, a medium, where I can put 4 attachments on a page, or if I want one big large image, and then any notes related to that. And then we would just create our entry. Okay. So some new, I want you, to be sure that you go through all the different tabs. We're not going to have time to go through all of them, but we have made them easier to use. As I mentioned earlier, the journals entry now has the ability to select different journal types and to default to a specific journal type. So if your guys are always creating the same types of journal entries, you may want to default that to a certain type, and these types can be changed in the settings area of the report. If we go out here to field reports, there is a types list set up now. So you guys can come in, click on this, and we've got our log types, our journal types, and our event types. So if I go to journal types right here, I can come in and select remove, delete the ones that I don't want, or add additional ones. I could put in web training, and I could add that as a journal type if I want. Now, if I go back to my field report and I go into my calendar, I can go in, I can add a new report or go into any of the reports that I've already filled out, and that will be displayed on the current report. So if I come in here to mine for today, and I come down here to the journals area, in my drop-down menu, now I'll have the new web training journal type that I just created. So we've done that for the Events tab, Journal tab, and we've also done it for your Logs tab. So go in and customize those. Okay. Another big feature in the system is finally we've introduced security. Okay, so for all of you guys that are looking to lock down your field reports so that only certain users can see reports or are only able to fill out reports to specific jobs within your company, we can do that now. And that is done under the field reports settings. So if I come over here in FR, my main menu, to a field reports administrator only, you will see there is a new users link. And this will allow you to come in to each of your employees that automatically gets displayed down below. You can search by employee name up at the top if you want. And there you'll notice that we have the employees hh2 user account at the top, and then we have their FR access right below it. So if you're coming in here and setting this up for the first time, and for those of you that will be converting over to the new field reports, we try to handle a lot of that for you. We've run some scripts that will automatically handle this based on the reports that they've previously, based on the reports that they've previously created. We've associated those jobs and given them the proper job access. That's kind of how we've handled that on the development side. And for those of you that need further training or implementation on that, we'll allow you to schedule that out with me. I'll be the one that's doing that for you. So for those of you that are already existing field report customers, there isn't going to have to be too much setup done on the security side. The only thing that you're going to need to know about it is that for anybody moving forward, if you want to have it be job specific, you're going to need to go in and select the FR access, field reports access, and then decide whether or not it's job specific or if you're going to leave it open to everybody in the system. Okay. The difference between all jobs read and all jobs add and edit is that if you want to give certain users the ability to see all of the reports in your company, but you don't want them to be able to add or edit those reports, then this is the role here. It's more of a, for our remote payroll customers, it would be considered a report viewer role. Some of you are familiar with that term. So it's read-only access. This one here, if you want to leave it open, wide open like it is right now, or it has been up to this point, you can select on the user all jobs, add and edit, and that gives them access to your entire job list in your company. For those of you that have been looking for the job security and locking down your reports for users so that they can only create a report for the job that you assign them, this is what you're looking for right here, job specific only. So we can click on that now, and by doing this, I can come in and I can, now that I've got job specific only selected, I can come down below and select which jobs I want to specify in my list. I'm actually going to come in here and remove that, and we'll just do all jobs. But it does give you the flexibility now. So just click on FR Access, specify job specific, and then come in and specify the jobs that you want. Okay. The way that you'll do this is you'll click on the plus button up at the top. You'll see your jobs, and then you would just click on it. Okay. You can come in and at the job level give them certain access. So we can even specify that we want to give someone report viewer access just on a particular job. And I would come in here and say read only. Okay. So I can do this for each one that I click the plus button on. Okay. So new and exciting changes for security within field reports. If any of you have got questions on this, feel free to just type them in the questions box. I'll try and get to some of those before the demonstration ends. Some other changes that we've made within field reports is if I come back into the settings area, I now have a global option for custom tabs. This is for all of you admins out there that want to turn things on or off in regards to some of you on the old field report system had custom tabs and you wanted certain tabs to show up for certain report types. We're going to be able to offer that now. Custom tabs is a great way to incorporate in certain items into your reporting that we may not have built into the general data sets that we offer. You can see that we have a couple of custom ones here. One happens to be hazmat disposal. So this is all custom in the system. These are things that you guys can fill out and do now. A field reports administrator would just come in and select that they want to create these tabs. You can get to these by going to your settings and going to custom tabs. And we've made this very, very user-friendly. So if I come in here, I can just click on the button to create a new one. I can select an icon that I want to use for the tab. All right, and then I can specify a name for the tab. And then I can come down and I can specify which report types this tab is going to be available to, so that the tab doesn't show up or is not available unless a certain report type is selected. Okay, so we can come down here, select our report types, and then I can create this. I have to hit the Create tab button first, and then once that's done, then I can go and I can move forward. Now on this, if some of the icons are already being used, you may get some errors. And this is being failed to create on this one just because I've previously done some things on our demo site. But you can come in here, you can create a certain amount of tabs, and then when you go into them, all of your information you can come in and edit, and they will be available if the custom tabs is turned on in the field reports, so that when your guys are going there, they only see that information that you filled out. What I would suggest that you guys do is, for anyone that's interested in setting up some custom tabs, contact us through support@hh2.com. We can set up a demonstration or a training session, or offer more training time for anyone that would like to have us go through and help you set some of those up. It's very easy to do, and you'll be able to immediately play around with some of that stuff. The other thing in the system settings is we've made it available now to come in and turn on and off very easily the different types of field report sections that you guys are going to be using. So in the field report section, you'll want to come in and make sure that if you want to use meetings, make sure it's turned on. There's a couple of different tabs in here that are not finalized yet. They're not really available. You'll see them in this list, but they're not fully functional yet. One of them happens to be our billings tab. We have, like I said, the meetings tab in here that's still being, some extra functionality is being added to that, but I like this tab. I still think it works great right now, and I would encourage any of you to give it a try. So you can turn these on or off, and you can also customize which sections you want printed out in your PDFs by default. So for printing purposes and for your field report users that are out there with the iPads using the app, we can automatically go in and set these up as global settings so that when they go to print out the PDFs or send them to you, it only includes the data sets that you want by default in here. Makes it much, much easier than having to uncheck them all the time. So you can go in and set those up. We've got the user preferences in here, like I said before, where we can switch from weekly to monthly. We can come in and select our default log types now. So if superintendent is the log type that you guys most often use, select that as the default so that they don't have to choose it. It automatically pulls it up. If they wanted to use a different log type, then that would force them to actually go in and change it from superintendent to something else. You can also specify the default journal type here. So if a general is the one that most of you are using, then just select general. Attachment layouts just made it easier to customize this stuff now for your people so that they don't have to do it on a per iPad basis, or when they log in, all of this stuff is automatically handled for them. All right, so that's just some of the highlights that we wanted to show to you on the web. Let me just take a look at the questions here really quick. Let me just see what we have here. Let me expand this out. And I got quite a few here. Give me just 1 second. Right now, yeah, we don't have the ability to manually go in and add subs to a report if the sub is not in your Timberline system. So for a subcontractor, we're actually pulling on address book. So if they're not set up in Timberline yet, that's something that you guys would not be able to do yet. The voice record and dictation, is that available? That's a great question. For the website, I don't know. On the iPad, it's already available. If you're using the iPad, whether you're using the app or just the website on an iPad, when you pull up your iPad keyboard and you click on the microphone button at the bottom, it does voice dictation for you. They're the best at what they do. Apple is great at that. I use that all the time, especially for journal entries in the log. Just click on that. When you pull up your keyboard, right next to the left of your space bar is a microphone button, and I will show you that now because I'm going to be getting into the iPad. So let me just display I'm going to move this off my screen, and let's just display out my iPad. I've got that already set up. So let me turn on my iPad. And I'm going to turn on mirroring here. For any of you guys wondering what software I'm using to display my iPad out there with you, we have no real affiliation with them, but they're called AirPlay. It's Air Server. Sorry, I'm just using this over AirPlay. It's called Air Server. If you want to write that down, airserver.com. I think for a 3-seat license for them, it is $15 bucks. I think it might even be 10, and that's it. So it's very nice, and it allows you guys to display your iPads on a monitor. So I'm just going to pull this up, and I'm going to go right into field reports, and I'll show you both in the app and the web browser, that you can use your microphone. So right here up at the top in field reports, for those of you that have not seen the app, this is just a good demonstration of it. There's a couple of things that you'll want to do. We have a video on how to do all this, but you're going to want to put in your credentials. The identifier is your web identifier. The username and password is the person that's actually going to be using the iPad and filling out the reports. It's the hh2 username that you've got set up for your field person. You'll go in and you'll sync all of these settings right here. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but I'll get right into how to create a new report in here and what the app looks like. So up at the top, there's two things that we have to select. One is a report type, so I'm going to select on report type here, and I'll just put in superintendent. And then over here on the job, I'm just going to select a job. Okay, once I go in and I select my job, then I'll be able to start creating the reports. And I think if you guys are seeing a little bit of flashing on my iPad, I think it's just because there is a new NVIDIA video driver that was just released today, so that may be the cause of that little flash that's happening if you see that. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to create a report for today. So I'm going to click on the 25th. I tapped on that with my finger, by the way, if you're wondering how I did that. Okay, and I've got all of these different tabs up down here. Now, these tabs, like I said before on the web dashboard, these can be controlled. You can easily globally set these up so that your users only see the tabs that you want them to see. Okay, so weather, I've covered a lot of this already on the web version, but similar to how you do it on the web, you can do it right here on the iPad the same way. I can hit this button here where it says update from weather.com. It's going to attempt to pull the conditions based on the zip code, and then I can come in and I can put in my notes. All right, so I would tap in this field here. So to get back to switching the weather, if you don't like what weather.com has put in here, just click on the icon with your finger and you can pull up other conditions. Okay. To answer your question about notes and voice dictation, that button that I'm talking about is right here. So I tapped on the microphone and you can see that just by typing on that, it's typing everything in there automatically for me in this box. So have your foreman or your superintendents use this method because it'll save them a lot of time. All right, so you saw that it did a pretty good job of being able to do that. That's already built in. I can come back into this, I can tap in the box and I can edit that, change it, do whatever I need to. That works out on the web, works with any app out there right now, so for the most part from what I understand. So we're going to just hit save here, and then I can come back into any of these. I can make changes or edits. You guys will want to advance through, and if you haven't downloaded the app out on the App Store, definitely give it a go. It's very, very similar to what you're doing on the web, only there is a convenience factor with doing it on the iPad. One of those conveniences, like I said, was just on the Meetings tab alone. I can come in here, click on my plus button on the Meetings tab. I can select my type. So maybe I held a training. I can select the time. Once I've got the time selected, I can put in the name. I can say toolbox meeting. And then I can come down here and I can select my attendees. So with the attendees down at the bottom, I'm going to go in and just add some employees. So I'm pulling from my employee list and I'm just tapping on them, and it's putting check marks next to their names. If I had, like I said, a vendor or someone out there that I want to put in, then I can come in here and put that in manually, come back, and now I've got the signatures for all of these different names along the side where I can hand the iPad to an employee, turn it over to them, and have them sign their name. It's a convenient way to capture important information that may come back to either save your business a lot of money or haunt your business. I can't stress that enough. Capturing signatures on the iPad is key to ensuring that someone actually attended a meeting. And if that ever comes up in litigation, you know, someone falls off some scaffolding, gets hurt on the job, you guys are going to be able to go in there and show the signature of the employee, and that they attended, that they were a part of it, and that's going to hold up. I know it has for us. Okay, so I'm back in the report here. I can go to the other tabs by just sliding down at the bottom. You'll also notice my custom tab that I have set up here. So if I click on the custom tab, I can come in and I can add all of these different types of fields now and make these available to my employees. You know, these tabs are very configurable, and the fields within them can be drop-down menus, radial boxes, check boxes. There's all kinds of cool things that you can do with these custom tabs that are going to give your employees a flexibility of capturing information that you previously didn't have in this first version of field reports. For those of you that have been waiting for this feature, you now have it, and you'll be able to come in and you know, create these and get your guys using them. So this just happens to be one where I can actually select from a drop-down menu. I can come in here and put in a description. This is a test description for training today on our webinar. You can see that I'm using the mic quite a bit. Saves me a lot of time. I've got estimated costs and other types of fields. I've got date range selectors that can be used. I've got these toggle switches that I wanted to point out, which is a nice touch to be able to toggle on or off. Think of punch lists, you know, with these types of things. You know, that would be very easy to do. Equipment, select equipment. We're actually pulling from the equipment list right now, so we've been able to tie that in. But if you're a company that doesn't use the equipment module and you wanted an equipment list in here, you could create a drop-down menu and select which types of equipment as the types that you want them to select from, just like I've done here. These could actually be pieces of equipment, but I'm just doing checklists here, comment box. I can type in whatever I want there, and then I've got like a recommendations box, which is a text area. So there's a lot of flexibility, and I want you guys to think, you know, moving forward, how you can use custom tabs to better enhance the field reports module for your field laborers or superintendents. Go ahead and select the setting. Now it's saying that I have some required fields in here. So when you're setting up your custom tabs, you can go through and put asterisks on all the tabs that are required to be filled out before they can actually save the item, which is also a nice feature. Finalizing reports in the new system. One of the major changes with this version of field reports is that when you finalize a report, you cannot go back and edit or change that report in any way. The report is locked down, and the only thing that you can do to a finalized report is you can add an addendum to it. So your guys need to be careful about finalizing reports. For our clients that have been on the first version of our field report system, one of the things that you were able to do is to go back in the report and unfinalize it, make changes, and refinalize the report. The validity, or credibility, I should say, of that report, it doesn't hold up too well if someone can always go in and change the report to whatever they want it to be, or say whatever they want in the report by unfinalizing it and making changes. So in this new version of field reports, you do not have the option to go in and unfinalize. Once you finalize, it's done. No changes can be made. The report cannot be deleted. And that, for liability reasons, is the way that you're going to want it, especially if, God forbid, something happens where something, an accident or something happens and you're in litigation and you're pulling from your field reporting. You'll hear me say that a lot. You'll wish that, you had all of those details documented, all right? And, that's going to hold up much better than a report that anybody can go in and just change whenever they want. So in hh2, when you finalize the report, it will make you not only finalize when you finalize, but it will make you sign off on it, okay? So signing off on the report here, I put my name on it. It's finalized. I've got my signature. And the only thing that I can do is I can add an addendum. That's the plus button up in the top right-hand corner that I clicked on. An addendum is basically you just slapping a paper over the top of the report and adding additional notes or details to it. It doesn't change the original report. It just depends on and adds any new information that you've received. So that is a major change. Now, if you do not finalize your reports, they get auto-finalized after an option. We have several options after 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, or 28 days. That is done in the settings of your web browser. So if I pull my web browser back up and we go into the field report system settings, you have the option to come in here and switch when this auto finalizes. And if I click the drop down, we can switch that to any time frame. So that's something that your guys will also need to know about out in the field, that if they don't finalize the report, it's automatically going to be done at the interval that you've selected here. All right, some other things on the app that I'll point out. Up at the top, you have some other options now. This option right here, and this report's locked, so I won't be able to do it, but you can actually move the report to a different report or different report type. We made this option available for companies that run into situations where their guys fill out the report, they do a good job of it, but they accidentally did the report on the wrong job or on the wrong day. You can easily go in here and apply it to the right date or job. That is the double sheet icon up at the top. This option right here is your PDF option. This allows you to send out the PDF attachment. This is really your date range search for printing or emailing out your reports. So down at the bottom, I can come in here and select my date range. It automatically defaults to the current day, but I could come in here and say, send all of my reports from February 1 to, February 28th if I wanted to send all of them. And then the defaults that I have selected here are the defaults that were chosen in my settings of field reports by my field reports administrator. But you can come in and you can one-off on the different things that you want to show up in the report. So we can turn off certain tabs if we're only concerned with certain information to save on the number of pages that would get printed or the number of pages that would show up in the attachment if we're saving those for email. And then all I got to do now is just hit create up at the top. Once that's done, it just generates the preview for the report, and then I can do a couple of nice things. So for some of you that have been using the new skin or using this app, you're familiar with a few of the options now down at the bottom, but I want to point those out to some of you that may not have used these, and that is the first one that a lot of people don't know about is this. It looks like a little triangle down at the bottom. When you click on that, it allows you to now open up your field reports into other apps within your iPad, which can be very, very nice, especially for those of you that are using programs like PDF Expert, Google Docs, or Dropbox, Evernote. I know that there's a lot of Evernote users out there. This is a great way to take your reports and upload them into other storage services like Google Docs or Dropbox, where you can go and access these from the web at any time. So I wanted to point that out, that you do have that available, and that's just clicking this option here. The other option is to print these out. So if I click the printer button, if you've got installed out your job trailers or around the office wireless printers, then it's very easy to, to pull up a wireless printer, select it, it's got AirPlay, and print this out. And then the last one is the email. And the email is just going to pull up the report. It pulls up the report job, the report type. So you've got your job name and number here. It would pull up the report type. It's saying superintendent, the date of the report, the field subject. We just have field report PDF. And then you can come in and right on your iPad email this out to a project manager or anyone in the company that's going to need to see it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete the draft there. I could have saved that as a draft. So that is the PDF option up at the top. We also have a job details button. This job details button is just a little eyeball view that allows you to go in and see a map of where the job is at. Just see some basic job details, the cost codes that have been recently used on that particular job. So we've conveniently placed that up at the top right here under the eyeball view. If at any time you have questions, okay, you can click on the little questions button. It automatically pulls up a hh2 support page. Okay, so this is where you would send in support tickets. We highly recommend, and that's something that I wanted to bring up with everybody, we highly recommend that you contact your admin first. So you can see right here we have a contact your admin option. You'll want to go in as field reports administrators and put in your contact information first, so that your field managers or technicians out there using this aren't directly calling up support without you knowing about it first. All of you guys are on support agreements or support plans, and so we don't want them chewing into any of your support time if it can be resolved on your end first. There's also some instructional videos out there, so anybody that wants further information about the app, some of the things that I highlighted today, you can go out to our instructional videos. We have a YouTube channel that you can access demonstrating all of these different features. And I just know that once you guys get into the app, you'll love it. I prefer the app version of Field Reports now over the web browser. However, the web browser works great on the iPad. Today I'm using an iPad mini, and I found that to be very convenient because I can place that in my back pocket. It fits and it works. Some of you may have been moving over to some of the bigger phones. Right now, the Field Reports app is just on the iPad, so you'll want to stick with that platform. But I'll just open it up to questions. If you guys got any more questions, feel free to just chat them into the menu. Let me just scroll through some of these very quickly here. On here. Let's pull this tab out and expand this down a little bit. All right. Can you manually add equipment in the equipment field? No, you cannot, because we are pulling from Timberline's equipment module. However, if you're not using the equipment module in Timberline and that's something that you're not going to move forward with, I would highly recommend that you use a custom tab for that. So if there's certain things that you want to create, it'd be very easy to create a tab called equipment, and in it you could have like the name of your equipment, where they could type it in, or if you wanted to provide a drop down for them, you could create a drop down menu with as many items in the drop down menu that you want, with multiple selectors where they could select any of the options. So that's something that you can definitely set up very easily and put those as options, and they could access it that way. We see that being a popular one. I think I answered a couple of the other ones there already. Any additional questions? Anything that you guys would like me to show, with the last 5 or so minutes of our demonstration today? Anything that you would like to see specific in the app that I may not have covered yet that I could run through for you? Feel free just to type it out. Anything I can get into more details, either on the app or on the web. Give you a minute to type those in. hang on here. It looks like a couple more people are adding some stuff now. Ellie, I saw that your hand was raised. Feel free to, if you've got an actual question, feel free just to type it in, and I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. You can just type it into either your chat menu or your questions. All right, well, if any of you guys have any further questions or details that you would like me to cover with you or answer, don't hesitate to send those to us at support@hh2.com. Yes, there was a question, Ellie. I just got it. Will there be a different sync with Timberline than the current one? Yes, you do bring up a good point. There is a different sync. So for those of you that are on the old version of Field Reports, there is a new sync. That sync is very, very easy to install. So what we would do is we would just go in, schedule some time with you. It would take us about 5 minutes to do it. The great thing about the new sync is that it syncs data every hour now instead of once a day. So for some of you that are on our old sync tool, that's going once a day. This goes every hour. The other nice thing that you'll love is that it's web-based now too. We have to install it once on the server, but when you go to do your syncing, if you ever want to manually sync, and then that would be the case where you want to see something come over sooner than an hour, then you'd be able to go out to your website, and there's a link button right there to do the sync, and you can click on it. So you don't have to have that old green sync button loaded on your client desktop anymore for this version. All right, you would just have us install the new one. It syncs 24 times a day. You can sync sooner than that manually from your hh2 website. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Any other details or questions that you may have, just let us know. support@hh2.com. We'll get the answers out to you. If you would like to schedule training with us, if you have remaining training and implementation time, do not hesitate to contact myself, Jay Morrison at hh2.com. That's the letter J, Morrison at hh2.com. I can help facilitate that. If you're out of training and implementation time or you don't know how much you have remaining, let us know. We can offer more training time. The new field report system, if you're not on it, if you're not on it yet, then you definitely want to get on it. You're going to have a very enjoyable experience with it. So we appreciate all of your business. I want to thank all of you guys for attending the training session today. I will have this video uploaded to a location. We will email you that location so that you can use this or pass this on to other people within your organization. And again, thanks for your business, and we're excited about everything that we're doing in 2015. Thank you. Have a good day.